So without further ado, let me bring on our first guest, Ohio State Representative Adam Mathews.
Thank you so much.
Yes, of course. So Representative Mathews, manufacturing has been a big part of Cincinnati since its founding. I saw in the latest Cincinnati Regional Chamber report that it is the third largest employer here in the region after healthcare and government. But this next phase of manufacturing, we hear from everyone, whether they say it's in 5 years or in 20 years, could mean a lot fewer jobs. What do you say to that? How do you as a policymaker think about how do we keep those jobs here for Ohioans?
Right. So you do hear about AI coming, changing jobs, and going after, and what our manufacturing facilities and our normal types of businesses are going to have to navigate is how do we actually use the seed corn to build that next generation rather than eating it now for short-term gain. You have people coming in as entry level and still need to learn how to weld, how to be an associate attorney, how to write sales copy, how to do all of this. And if those things get outsourced to AI, we're not gonna have the next generation of leadership. And the same thing is gonna happen in manufacturing is if you outsource all of these things to the hive mind, to your computer, to different types of LLMs or otherwise, you may have increased efficiency in the short term, but you will falter as soon as that type of leadership changes. I do think there's going to be a lot of increase in manufacturing and increase of speed and efficiencies because you can have AI help with routine maintenance, see when things may break, fix those faster, decrease costs on those things. But you're still going to need humans that know whether the AI is even spitting out something that makes sense or if it's just slop.
I mean, the point you're making is a great one, right? I don't want to sit in a self-driving car if I don't know how to drive a car, even if the car is doing all the driving. Does that sort of tie in with what you're hearing from companies, though? Or are they kind of full steam ahead?
Many companies are doing a both and. They are seeing what they can do to use AI to augment the improvements that they've already had. So we've seen companies that have, when they've already modeled up, say, a manufacturing floor, they'll use AI to create life realistic manufacturing floors so they can try out different types of products without risking their machines being hurt. And that saves them millions right there on every single time. It's going to be full steam ahead because this is the next tool here. It's not good or bad, but barring power not being there for us or barring government interventions or misadventures into the space, AI is going to be the next thing if it isn't already.
And as companies change and as jobs change, we also have to kind of modernize the way we're training the next generation for those jobs. What are some things that are happening here in Ohio that's kind of taking training to the next levels as well?
Of course. So one of the things Ohio does and is required to do is licensing. And when you look at licensing, there's things like you require for getting your driver's license so many road hours. Will we get to a point where for a CDL, for a normal driver's license, for other types of licensure out here, can we do that AI only? Can we do that virtual reality only to save costs and adjust that way? We can look at that for other types of credentials down to from the manufacturing to the medical. You can have things that instead of having that real life experience, have AI replicate that to make it more accessible. And we're going to have to determine how much the state's going to accept that.
So if I'm doing my training on a virtual rig, kind of how do we make sure that it's up to par? How do we work on standards or something like that?
Absolutely. So, and that's the same thing as I mentioned before. You still have to have a human that says, is this correct? You use the example of getting into a self-driving car. If you get into a self-driving car and say, please, I'm here in Cincinnati, I'm driving to Columbus, and you don't know if that's going north or south, you can't do a sanity check on if that's working. And the same thing is going to be here in Ohio. I was up around at a facility around the Wright Pat Air Force Base where they were having types of training there that had every single type of element that you would have had in a cockpit or you would have had at a UAV. And that type of training could be, maybe, just as good as the real thing. But you need to have someone with that oversight to train the trainer. And that's going to have to be the case for the manufacturing as well.
One of the most exciting things about this thing you're talking about, this virtual training, is that it kind of democratizes the training. You don't have to be in a place. You don't have to, maybe if you're a single parent, you don't have to be away from your kids for weeks to get this. Are you seeing that? I mean, is that one of the goals as well here?
Absolutely. So this brings down the barriers to entry. Just like many other technologies, it doesn't totally rewrite everything. It just increases the speed, potentially decreases the cost, and increases the access for everyone. And whether that's making it so that people that have mobility issues have routes that keep them from getting the normal work experience, or places that might not have been able to afford the type of tech that we need. I saw a local school that is helping with at-risk kids and families in tough family situations that is using AI in their security system to make sure that everyone that comes in, where everyone is well known, and they can respond in kind. You can see those things on the manufacturing floors to see your supply is running out here on the logistical chain and adjust before any real person knows, but the AI knows and can adjust production accordingly or move some worker to where that needs to be so that you can keep the lines up. And whether it's security, manufacturing, or anything, it is going to democratize. It's going to make everyone that's willing to learn and step up and invest increase significantly their capacity. But that also means one person will be able to do what it took a lot of other people to do before.
Government is so key in kind of funding these trainings, making sure that they're up to par, making sure people have access to them. But people never want to hear, we're going to train you. They want to hear, we're going to hire you. How do you make sure the credentials, the trainings translate to actual jobs?
One is having conversations like today where you meet with business leaders. Government is normally going to be overhead. We're the ones getting in the way. The ones that are hiring people are the businesses. Those are the ones. And having that proof of this is a credential that is necessary and matters and is agile. When I was an engineer, we were taught coding, but and those in the audience, we were taught Fortran, which is functionally the Latin of coding. And but it was because you learned the principles, because we were also told whatever curriculum we put in front of you and set up in 5 years is going to be out of date. And so getting you those principles so that whatever your first job sets you up to be successful, you're going to have to be malleable at that point. So the credentials need to show a willingness and ability to learn and make prudent decisions, in addition to having the basic first steps so that you can understand the jargon, understand the culture, where you're going to get that first job.
As you said, you're an engineer yourself, and one of the things that you said to me when we were talking about this a couple days ago that really stuck with me, you said, when it comes to making laws and rules about AI, we don't need to start from scratch. Tell me a little bit about what you mean by that.
Yes, so many of my colleagues, they see AI maybe as a genie coming out of a bottle that you have to go chase and use the law to warp and change and go after it. AI is a tool like any other tool, and it's a big one, and it's going to have large repercussions, and it's going to land probably somewhere between the printing press and the internet, just as disruptive. But you didn't have to change libel or slander laws when the printing press came out. They still stayed the same. And the same thing with the internet or video. We've had deep fakes in the United States for a long time. You normally needed a Hollywood studio to make them. But now that is on everyone's phone and democratized, as you said before. So you don't need to bludgeon the law to change it. You just need, if you're making law changes, they need to be small tweaks, because the more you mess with jurisprudence, the more unintended consequences you're going to get. And whether it's engineering, whether it's law, whether it's AI, bad input leads to bad output. And you need to make sure that you're doing the smallest tweaks to actually solve the problem that you're going after.
We are almost out of time, but we like to end with one fun thing at Axios. So I want to ask you, as in your first term as state rep, one of your most awesome legislative achievements was keeping the Cincinnati Open in Cincinnati. You've attended many of them. What is your standout memory from 2025?
Oh, the Cincinnati Open is incredible. It's right up there in Mason, Ohio. And Ohio, because of its tech benefits, has been able to keep it, and the business community stepped up for that. We were there at the practice with Carlo Alcaraz, and he threw out one of his practice balls to my 10-year-old son. And since then, we've now been practicing. I think there's new dents in my garage door as we've been practicing some tennis. But it is going to be a memory there, and I'm incredibly grateful that Cincinnati tennis will be here for at least another 25 years.
Thank you so much, Representative Mathews.